I think that if you want to have ageless sexuality, it's very important to focus on nutrition, strength building, high intensity interval training, and cardiovascular training. The vascular system is very, very important. Um, you have to have really good blood flow. Sex is really a blood flow game. And so some of the things that I like to do are I like to do running stairs. I do a lot of stair running, single step, double step, triple step, skating side to side, backward, up and down. Like I'll do, a thousand up and a thousand down kind of thing on a workout day. I like I like to use the Vasper system.
Welcome to another episode of the Matter Over Mind Experience. I'm your host, master trainer, and weight management expert, Narado Zeco Powell. And who's the fantastic guest that I have for you today? Susan Bratton, or affectionately known as Suze. So that's what I'm calling the rest of the show. I'm just calling her Suze because we're already family, right? We're already family. And we have some stuff to talk about today, everyone. Let me tell you. We're going to talk about knocking boots. Imagine that. Knocking boots, right? She's an authority in natural solutions in boosting libido. I mean, if that's not news to your ears, let me tell you, I know it's news to your partner's ears. I'll tell you that much, right? Bedroom communication. Who thought that was a thing? Bedroom communication and techniques and non-invasive treatments to improve vitality, not just for men, but also for women. I mean, I know your boy don't need no help in the bedroom, but let me tell you, I'm going to take some tips from Suze as well. So you want to stick around for this. You want to stick it out for this. And with that being said, welcome to the show.
Hey, Zeco, how you doing today?
I'm excellent. You know what? I'm ready. Let's start this puppy, right? Because you're a fierce advocate for expanding one's sex span, right? Not just their life or their health span. So what does that even mean?
Well, a lot of people think that, you peak in your 30s and then you're done with sex and you're just going to be a dried up old husk of a human and you might as well just die or kill yourself and it's all downhill. And I say, far to that. It turns out that there's lots and lots of studies out there that talk about the benefits of having great sex your whole life long. And that having that lengthening your sex span, having sex till the day you die, actually pushes that date out very far. That it actually makes you live longer, you're happier, you're healthier as you age. And I just really want to reset everybody's thinking about what sex is, because it's a time when you can get together and relax, generate oxytocin, lower your stress, connect in your heart, be present in the moment with your partner. It's a time when you can co-create incredible turn on and pleasure and give each other tons of orgasms. It's a time when you're having a great vascular experience. You're shooting out hormones and neurotransmitters. Your blood is pumping oxygen to your brain. Your brain's lighting up like the 4th of July. Your whole body is feeling more sensation and pleasure. It's like the moment when all is right with the world because you're just so happy. And the more that you do that, the better that you get at it. And the better that you get at it, the more you want to do it. And so it's basically this wonderful, what I like to call upward pleasure spiral, where you get better communication, you get better skills, you keep your flexibility, your balance, your strength. It helps with cognitive function. I mean, it just does. great sex. And by sex, I don't necessarily just mean intercourse. I mean oral pleasuring, genital pleasuring, kissing, breast play, anal play, playing with toys, trying new positions, lingerie photo shoots, sexy dancing, sex in crazy places, having sex in the water, in the shower, whatever you'd like to do. There's literally an endless supply of exciting opportunities to have a lot of hot and sexy fun together at every age of your life. And so that's really what sex span is. It's this idea of, oh, it can just keep getting better. Oh, I can do it for the rest of my life. Oh, practice makes perfect. Let's go.
And it sounds like common sense stuff, but really and truly, we hear that all the time. I'm not 19 anymore. I can't do it like I used to. And I'm like, I don't know about that. I think there's other factors here, going into play. Which leads me to my next question, though, because you're talking about communication in bed, and I think you kind of hit on that. So kind of expand more on that.
Yeah, there is essentially like a ladder, a stairway that you climb with regard to bedroom communication. And the very first step on that stairway is being able to know what you want and ask for it confidently and have your partner be happy that you asked and delighted to give it to you. And that is the hardest step to take on the ladder. All of the other ones after that get easier and easier. You asked me what book am I here to talk about? I'm never around to talk about any particular book because I've written 44 of them. But this is one of my books. It's called Sexual Soulmates, The 6 Essentials to Connected Sex. And one of the techniques of the 6 essentials to connected sex is something I call my sexual soulmate pact, like an agreement, a PACT, like an agreement between lovers. And it essentially teaches you how to know what you want and then how to ask for it and how to create that agreement or relationship with your lover where they just want to hear what you want. They love your feedback. They don't think they're doing anything wrong. They don't take it personally. They're like, how could I know what she's going to want or he's going to want any given day? We've got stress and sleep and food and, all the things that impact our physiologic, capacity. And so let's hear what you want. How do you feel today? And when you can get to the point where you do that, and I put this technique so we can cover a lot of ground. You can just go to sexualsoulmatepact.com and download this little PDF with exactly what to do. And I find it best for a couple to each read it and then discuss it and then enter into the agreement that you're going to start to have this free flow of communication. Because once you do that, you show up in the bedroom and you're like, what sounds good to you today? Well, I was kind of earlier today, I was fantasizing about you and I making out and you were going to pleasure my breasts and I was going to stroke you. But now I'm thinking I want to try this new toy I just got or whatever. It gets you out of that rut where it's like, we have this thing we do. Well, if you just have this thing you do some more stuff. Like there's so many things to do. It's like, try and learn some new stuff. When you enter into the moment, feeling into yourself and your desires and how you're doing with your partner, sometimes it could be, Zeco, I just want to lie down beside you and I want you to hold me in your arms and I just need to tell you about my day and I just need to get into the bubble with you. I'm so strung out right now. I need you to hold me, or God, I bashed my toe diving through the waves. The ocean went boom with my foot down on the ocean floor and my foot is so sore. Will you rub some pain cream in it and we can just catch up and check in with each other? You never know what you need till you're right there. And so settling into that and connecting with each other, it keeps it fresh and real and connected and you feel seen and cared about and loved. And so I really think that's the very first level of communication. And then there's moaning. people are quiet when they have sex. And if you start moaning and you just make noise, oh my God, oh, that feels so good. Oh, babe, that's right there. Oh, yeah. Like everybody likes that encouragement. They like that feedback. They like to know it's good, And so instead of it just being this quiet thing, it's so nice to learn how to make some sound. And then from there, you can get into things like sharing favorite frames, which is after your lovemaking. It's a little game that you can play. That is, tell me your favorite frame from the last time we made love. Okay. Well, I think what I liked the best was when you had me up on that wedge and I was using that little toy and you were making love to me and you had my ankles in your hands and you had this rhythm going that was like like I just went into some other zone and you just were just like on fire with your rhythm. It just was like so melting. And your partner would be like, damn, I didn't even know I did that, So that's a good one. And then another one is like fantasy sharing. Another one is dirty talk. Another one is adoration and worshiping your partner, verbal worshiping. I love you so much. You're so beautiful to me. You're so handsome and sexy. God, I love you. Can you just make some muscles for me and just like pose for a second? I just want to objectify you, like whatever. I'm just making stuff up. But that those kinds of things really add a lot of excitement to the bedroom.
Communication in the bedroom. You hear that, everybody? Communication. They say communication is at the cornerstone of any relationship, of any marriage. But now, communication in the bedroom seems to be the cornerstone of a good sex life. Imagine that. I told you Sue's here is gonna rock her brains. And I'm telling you, my brain, if I had here, it would be like back there somewhere. Like I'm losing my mind right now. And with that being said, I have another question though, because then we start getting into I'm aging, I'm not 19 anymore, I can't do these things anymore. So what are some of the factors that lead to poor performance in the bedroom?
Yeah, I think that if you want to have ageless sexuality, it's very important to focus on nutrition, strength building, high intensity interval training, and cardiovascular training. The vascular system is very, very important. You have to have really good blood flow. Sex is really a blood flow game. And so some of the things that I like to do are running stairs. I do a lot of stair running, single step, double step, triple step, skating side to side, backward, up and down. Like I'll do, a 1,000 up and 1,000 down kind of thing on a workout day. I like to use the Vasper system. Do you know about Vasper?
I've heard of it, but I'm not too familiar with it.
It's kind of like a sit down elliptical, like if an elliptical and a stationary bike had a baby. So you're moving your arms and you're moving your legs on these paddles, and it's a 21-minute HIIT program. And they use the Katsu blood flow restriction on your arms and your legs, and you're sitting on cooling pads. You've got a cooling thing around your neck, and the pedals are cold as well. And so basically what's happening is you're doing these sprints. You're doing a series of sprints with rest in between. So you're doing HIIT, but you're doing blood flow restriction and you're cooling yourself. So when you cool yourself and you don't get overheated, you can hit harder. And when you do the blood flow restriction, what you're doing is you're keeping the blood in your extremities longer. So it's returning to your heart more slowly, which later gives you kind of like a hormone cascade of testosterone boost. It increases growth hormone incredibly well. And so you end up getting this whole like web, this like network of blood vessels popping all over your body. So like if you looked at my quads in the sunshine, you would see that there's just this matrix of blood vessels. If you looked at my chest and the side of my breasts here, because it's very fair, you can just see it's a web of veins and blood vessels. And so it's getting everything popping. Like when you're lifting, you're popping your blood vessels. You get a pump. And I think that's super important because you got to get blood flow to your brain. You got to get it out to the tips of your system. But for sex, you need to get it into your penis and into your vulval. The female genital system has 3 different erectile systems. It has the clitoral structure, which is like your little penis with little arms and little legs. You have your urethral structure, which is this tube of spongy tissue surrounding the urethra from your bladder out where your pee-pee comes out. And then you have the perineal sponge, which is on the bottom below the floor of the vagina and above the floor of the rectum. Between those two, there's a little sandwich of tissue there. And all of that has to get filled with blood so that you get it plump, engorged, erect, so that the entire vagina is wrapped in all this plump tissue and the clitoris kind of gets an erection. And then that is all more surface area, which sends sensation signals to your biggest sex organ, your brain. And men, they have 3 erectile tissue systems in their penis as well. And they're called the corpus spongiosum and corpus cavernosum. And they're 3 long tubes of tissue. You can feel them as you feel inside your penis. They come to little points, like little tongues. It's like little forked tongues up there. And those tissue structures go down and into your body and down towards your testicles. So it's like a big banana full of tissue. If I took that out and put it on my hand, it would cover my hand, all that tissue. If I took it out of my vulva and put it on my other hand, it would be the same amount. We have the same amount of tissue. You have an outie. Part of you has an outie, but ours is like an innie. But we got to get the blood flowing in there. For guys, they got to get the blood flowing in pretty fast so it locks off the endothelial tissue, the smooth muscle tissue, so you can maintain a firm erection. For women, it's more of a slow seeping in and then a slow seeping out. It's like more like the tide in a pond or an estuary, where a man's is more like a big wave that comes in. And so for men, they get, erect in a couple of minutes or faster, where women, it's more like 15, 20 minutes. If they haven't had sex for a while, maybe 25, 30 minutes. And so it's best to kind of slow down to her tempo so she can achieve her full erectile function. So everything you do during your lovemaking time feels really good to her. And then she can have lots more orgasms from everything that you do because she's got her full erection. So I think having high intensity interval, doing cardiovascular oriented things is very important, but also I think flexibility so that you can get into sex positions. You can hold sex positions for a while. You can stay on your knees and elbows. You can hold planks. You have good hip flexors and psoas muscles and things like that are very important. So really all of keeping your belly thin, keeping your strength up, keeping your flexibility high, keeping your cardiovascular good, all of these things contribute to having really great sex for your whole life.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I do have to say, I say to the future Mrs. Powell, you're welcome, because I've been lifting weights for a long time. Obviously, I'm fit, and I would have to say that once I'd made that transition in my life, I did see a big difference in my sex game. I'm not gonna lie, I really have seen a big difference in my sex game. So I know what you're talking about is absolutely true. I didn't know the details you just shared, but I know what you're talking about is true. But it leads me to my final question, though, because I really want you to answer this. Because a lot of times we get into hormones, and this is the reason why we're having poor sex. But you're just talking about why blood flow is more important. So why is there a misunderstanding about hormones versus blood flow?
They really are two sides of the same coin of a good libido. You want all the vascularization and the blood flow. You want to have that blood carrying capacity. You want exertion is what you really want. You want heavy lift. You want to pull a sled. You want to do pull-ups. You want to do push-ups. These are very, very exertion oriented. You want to do heavy deadlifts, and all that exertion generates testosterone, and testosterone makes you horny. It helps you get hard, both for women and men. I mean, this is just how the human body works. There's no difference between men and women. We need to lift heavy too. So that's very important. So it's the kind of the cardio is the vascular, and the exertion, the heavy lift, is the testosterone and the growth hormone. And those are fantastic. Now, one thing that can happen over time is that even if you're working out and you're doing things religiously, you can still atrophy. Like, you look at guys who, and I'm not talking about men who are on steroids or do anything like that, just natural body building, just weight lifting, just strength training. I just saw a study 2 days ago that said that they did a test of muscle building with people in their 40s and 50s and people in their 70s and 80s. And the 70 and 80-year-olds could add just as much muscle mass as the 40 and 50 and 60-year-olds. We don't lose our ability to add muscle mass if we are eating our good proteins and we are working out and we are doing progressive overload and we are working on improving our strength. So I think that's very important. However, not everybody's willing to work that hard or has the leisure time to do it. Frankly, there are a lot of people that are they're working 3 jobs just to make ends meet. And I do get that. Believe me, working out is a privilege. So there are men who they have to work a lot, and women, they just have to work a lot or what have you. Or they have other issues, there could be problems or what have you. And so there are things that you can do that are called sexual regenerative therapies and treatments. And they essentially reverse the atrophy that happens when you're not working the muscles and the tissue and the vascular system. And a lot of men, especially, let's just talk about men, they resort to taking Viagra, Levitra, Cialis, PDE5 inhibitors to achieve and maintain an erection. But I don't like to take pharmaceuticals. The only pharmaceuticals I like to take are senolytics, which are actually things that improve your longevity. I don't want a coping mechanism as a pharmaceutical if I don't have to take it. And so I prefer to recommend that men use vacuum erection devices, penis pumps, and they pump their penis a couple of times a week with the vacuum device. And they do that over time consistently as a part of keeping atrophy at bay, keeping high blood carrying capacity to the penis, and keeping their erection hard, keeping their veins popping on their penis, and keeping the tissue robust. It's basically very, very similar to bodybuilding. And you can keep atrophy at bay, or you can continue to do more pumping, and you can actually enlarge your penis both through length and girth. You can improve length and girth of your penis. And I have written a book about penis pumping. It's at pumpingguide.com. And I go through the pumping protocols, what you're trying to do, additional accelerators, shortcuts, what to watch out for, how not to hurt yourself, what the vacuum pressure should be, what the pump is that I recommend and why. And I also like to pair that with the Gainswave treatments. And these are for men and women both. Gainswave is a company that's created a protocol using an acoustic wave or shock wave device. There's lots of devices that make this particular acoustic wave. There's linear, there's radial, different offices have different things. They have a treatment for it, protocol. And essentially you go to a practitioner and you have a series of 6 gains waves. And what they're doing, if you have a penis, is they're just rubbing this wand on the penis, the perineum, deep around the base of the buried shaft of the penis. And if you're a woman, they're doing it on your vulva, your internal, they're not going up inside your vagina, but they're doing it inside the labial folds and in the clitoral area and things like that. And what it does is these little acoustic waves, they trigger very slight micro damage, which then your body has to go in and repair, and it builds new tissue. And when it builds that new tissue, it also builds more vascularization back into that tissue. It's building the tissue and the blood supply to the tissue. And then the nerve can follow in there because the nerve follows the capillaries. The reason you lose sensation, if it's not like a nerve damage issue, is often that you're getting vascular retraction. Your blood vessels are coming back towards your organs and your heart, and your extremities are getting, like, your ankles are swollen, or your hands are swollen, or you can't get your rings off, or you can't get an erection. This is what vascular retraction is. And so what the gains wave treatments do is they stimulate that new tissue growth and they get that blood flowing again. So you're reversing the atrophy and improving all that function again. And women deal with incontinence, loss of sensation, and loss of lubrication and laxity. And the shock wave, the gains wave treatment fixes that. It reverses it. Now you're going to keep aging. So you might in a few years have to go back and reverse some more atrophy and reverse some more atrophy. But at least now, these days, we have natural regenerative therapies that you don't have to rely on taking a pill to have an erection.
Now, didn't I tell you that she's going to give us some wonderful information? I'm sitting here completely blown right now with everything that she's taught us. And I know that you've just gotten so much information as well. And if we keep talking, this episode could go on for days. But I do know she has a newsletter with a lot more wonderful information. So, Suze, let us know, how can we access more of this?
Sure, Zeco. I write passionate lovemaking tips, bedroom communication skills, and intimate wellness, information at betterlover.com. And it's a free sex tips newsletter. I send it out twice a week. And it would be my pleasure to have anyone join. And if you have any questions about anything that I've said, or even anything that I haven't said, when you get a newsletter from me, if you hit reply, I personally get your question, and I will answer you. So a big part of the reason why I know so darn much after doing this for 2 decades is that people have asked me a million questions. So I really do. I'm happy to point you in the right direction for things or what have you. So betterlover.com is where you can find me.
Perfect. And of course, the information will be in the show notes, zecohealth.com/betterlover. But of course, the show notes are going to be in the description of the podcast. So make your life nice and easy, and it can improve that sex span, improve that sex life, which apparently improves your overall health. So thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you for watching. My good friend Suze, thank you for being here. I love you, fam. Go out there and love your world.